Welcome to the video that shows our brand new Left 4 Dead 2 campaign, Liberty Revoked. The campaign we have created takes place 1 week before Left 4 Dead 2 begins. This is 1 week after the infection has started. Martial law has been declared throughout the city of New York. The military have tried and failed to contain the outbreak and have now been forced to fall back, leaving military weapons and armaments around the city of New York. The players start in a stereotypical housing block in a low derelict part of the city. Police were often called to this bad neighbourhood for gang-related crimes and violence, but were now called upon to destroy zombie hordes. There are still other survivors dotted around the city. The players will hear them but will be powerless to save them. Men, women and children will be left to be feasted on by the dead. At the initial stages of development, we looked at both Left 4 Dead and Left 4 Dead 2 campaigns to see what style we wanted to create for Liberty Revoked. We decided on Left 4 Dead 2 for many reasons, one being the storyline we felt gave the team more US locations to choose from when building the environment. We have chosen to create a prequel to the Left 4 Dead 2 campaign. This was because the beginning of the Left 4 Dead 2 campaign is ambiguous, allowing for a new story to be written without any continuity issues. We chose the name Liberty Revoked because the word liberty should immediately inform the audience that the campaign is set in the US, as the Left 4 Dead games have done before. It subtly informs the audience that the campaign is also set in New York because of other places that have the same name. For example, the Statue of Liberty and the New York Liberty basketball team. Revoked also suggests to the audience that normal life has been taken away and will never be the same. Development. Overall, the research proves to the group that level pacing, lots of interaction with the environment, and most importantly telling a story with the map, is always well achieved in the official Left 4 Dead 2 maps, and we had the same high standard for our own campaign. We began development by creating a small prototype level. This was a very simple but fully working Left 4 Dead 2 map. Its intention was to play in game before touching geometry. This taught the group lots of lessons and techniques that would be valuable later on in development. We did not want to get near the deadline without having a full understanding of Left 4 Dead 2 and Hammer's more complex features. This map includes a working navigation system to spawn zombies, a ladder and a working safe room. This is the area players finish in. This would also load another simple map. At this stage the group was able to create a block out of the entire environment, created using simple block shapes. The purpose of this was to see a version of the map we were going to produce at very basic stages so the group could evaluate the level design techniques such as level pacing and interaction. It would also give the developers the chance to see whether or not the map would be fun. This blockout included some basic original mechanics that would eventually end up in the final product. Many changes were made to the blockout during many different testing sessions, so this would not have to be done at a later date and after many hours had been put into development. The campaign. Split into 4 different maps, this will allow the players to explore a bad neighbourhood. This is where an urban part of New York and a crime-ridden area is, a sewer system that runs beneath the city, a medium-sized American football stadium's interior, where a fictional team named the New York Greeners play, and the stadium exterior, which has been militarized into a temporary army base to evacuate citizens nearby. Using the prototype level as a size guide, we each began developing our own map, with strict communication in order to keep a similar theme. The fog editor is an extremely powerful tool within Hammer. After creating fog, the developers compiled the level and were able to go into the console to bring up the fog editor. In real time, the developers changed the settings of the fog and were immediately shown the results without having to recompile. After the developers were happy with the fog, they could change the settings in the editor. The navigation in our campaign is extremely important and versatile. The navigation is placed into a map so that zombies can spawn, and the AI can follow the player when exploring the environment. Sections are marked in the console to indicate different types of areas, such as Finale, where the final attack takes place, Battlefield, This is where zombies spawn when a panic event is triggered. Battle station. This is where the player stands in a panic event situation. And escape vehicle. This is where the rescue vehicle will pick up the players. Navigation is also important because it tells the director, a prop within Left 4 Dead 2, important information that will allow it to spawn different numbers of zombies depending on player skill. Optimization was considered extremely important within our levels. Due to the vast amount of static meshes and brushes we deployed in our maps, frame rate was reduced and optimization was used to fix this. Two optimization techniques were used: area portals, used to stop the rendering of models behind the portals, and no draw, a special texture that is used on brush faces to stop the compiling of that brush. This was applied to any unseen brushes in our map. This improved performance significantly. Once we had finished developing our maps, we placed them into the Left 4 Dead game and began user testing with 12 candidates. The intention of the testing was to gain valuable feedback from gamers with different levels of experience. This helped to improve player navigation throughout our level, any bugs or errors, lighting and static mesh placement, and to gain an overall general understanding of the level. In order to understand people's difficulty with certain areas of the map, we recorded heat maps. The darker the area, the more people were damaged in the section. The users indicated a clear understanding of the martial law theme and US location. To make the test fair, we did not ask any questions with a leading answer, and the questionnaires were privately written and confidential. In order to make sure our testing was ethically fair, we applied for an RE1 form. This was a form to ensure complete ethical understanding, and a consent form was also signed by each tester. When the player chooses a campaign in Left 4 Dead, they are given the title of the campaign, in this case Liberty Revoked, but are also given individual loading screens. This is a piece of artwork that shows a glimpse into the level they are about to play. We have 4 custom loading screens in our level, each with the name of the author, with their relevant map, and the name of the level. The level names are Bad Neighbourhood, Into the Sewers, Liberty Stadium, and Liberty Returned. These names all provide a hint about what the player is about to experience. The first original game mechanic inside Liberty Revoked is the breakable wall mechanic. It is a simple system whereby the player will be informed by a custom visual prompt that says, "Shoot the barrels." This informs the players that the barrels in front of them must be destroyed. The players will notice that without shooting the barrels, the wall cannot be broken. After the barrels have been destroyed, fire will spread in the player's path, forcing the players to hold off zombies until the fire burns out. The mechanic also helps divide the houses the players explore and break up the level pacing.
Reloading.
The jump mechanic. This is a variation of an existing mechanic within Left 4 Dead 2. The players must jump onto a static mesh and then jump across a gap to the other side. If they fail, they will have to start again, and this takes time. Realistically, only one player can jump at a time, forcing the other players to cover the player whilst he performs the action. This mechanic breaks up the level pacing and forces the players to interact with the environment.
Reloading.
The panic event mechanic. Left 4 Dead maps traditionally have a panic event. This is a situation where the player triggers a large force of zombies to quickly attack the player, normally from multiple sides. This mechanic is evident in this level. The panic event here is an original for a few reasons. Firstly, the players unwillingly trigger the panic event by opening the door, whereby normally the players are given a choice when to activate this. The players must then open the door, blocking their path with a button inside the room. The door takes some time to open, like a traditional panic event, but then the players have to turn off the alarm in order to access the safe room, something that we believe is not in Left 4 Dead 2. A visual prompt informs the players to the panic event situation, and an alarm is activated. If the players do not shut off the alarm, the safe room door is locked, and a custom visual prompt appears. Boundaries are another important aspect of development. The players will have a small area to explore when compared to the environment, but it is important as level designers to make the player feel as if they are in a bigger world than they are. We believe we have achieved this well. Using our theme of martial law, this gave us the opportunity to use military hardware and police barricades to enclose the player. Using 3D skyboxes and houses made from geometry, we were able to create an American block style within our maps. It was very important for the group to use boundaries as if they were not obvious for the player. If the player feels like they are being intentionally enclosed by the designer, their enjoyment will suffer. We have tried to show the theme and storyline as often as possible throughout playing Liberty Revoked. Sound has been used, for example. A character announces that martial law has been declared. This informs the player to the rationale why military vehicles and barricades have been positioned on the streets of New York. There is also a siren that is triggered at important areas and has been recreated from an actual martial law event. We have also positioned animated flags at eye-catching and important areas to inform the player that they are in the US. There is also screams from women and men that are triggered when the player moves near certain buildings. This mechanic has been introduced in order for the players to interact with the environment. A player must open the sewer drain cover while the other team members defend the person for a few seconds. This is not a totally original mechanic, but it is important for breaking up the level pacing. This mechanic allows the players to take the short and easy route to safety, or forces them to travel the much longer route to reach the safe room. The players activate a button which opens a door, but then lowers an emergency gate. This gate takes a short amount of time to close and blocks access to the short route. This is a mechanic we believe is original and not in the Left 4 Dead 2 campaign. Red lights flash and a loud noise attracts the player to the gate immediately, as they have to act fast in order to reach the gate without it closing. Testing found that some players would make it through the gate, but not all of them, so we added a button on the other side that could open the gate if even one player made it to the other side.
Everybody inside.
When creating our campaign, we wanted to create an experience that people could play online with friends, but also offline with AI. In order to do this, we had to create a more extensive navigation system. Items and weapon placement has been carefully considered during development. We believe that this is an important area and has significant advantages or disadvantages during most games, and was heavily tested. Players traditionally start with a weapon that has a medium effect like a shotgun or an Uzi. These weapons are powerful enough for the player to try and find ammo to resupply them, but not powerful enough to make the game easy. It also allows the players to be rewarded. For example, in Liberty Revoked, we often reward players for taking the longer route by giving them either a much more powerful weapon or improved ammunition. This allows the player to calculate the risk versus reward factor when playing. Powerful items and weapons are also hidden in areas the developers do not expect the player to go. Static meshes are very important within our maps. They bring the basic geometry to life. Objects such as trees and cars show that the world the players are exploring is a living world, and until the evacuation, people are living here in peace. The first thing players notice when they start this level is that the power appears to be out, and the stadium is in complete darkness. Even the floodlights that would normally power the stadium are inactive. The player must find the generator to restore power. This is a variation of a mechanic inside the Left 4 Dead game, because activating this generator turns on the lights, causes a panic event, opens a door to progress, but also closes off one section of the map. This stops the player getting confused and backtracking around a symmetrical environment. User testing found that the players would often get stuck in the locked part of the environment, so an air vent was added to allow trapped players to move past the locked door, but would not be accessible on the other side. The research also showed us that the Left 4 Dead 2 environments do not often remain flat throughout the whole level. This was extremely important for the group to achieve. Allowing the players to travel up and down stairs and underground was something the group found very appealing, as the player should. Another way of creating varied heights in the environment was to use terrain, something often found in Left 4 Dead 2 maps. This had a basic grass texture applied to it, and then to make it look more realistic, an alpha was added. This was to blend another texture on top.
Keep the witch alone. Reloading. You are shooting me. Reloading. Reloading.
I'm on my way. Should be there in about 15, mate.
God damn it, it's getting good.
About 5 minutes out, mate. It's gonna be too hot to land. Head to the tower when I get there.
Reloading. Reloading.
Come on, guys. Get in the chopper. Struth, Mike, there's a tank. Get in.
The custom credits. They were created for many different reasons. Firstly, since the brief asks for a new and full campaign, our group believed that things like custom credits would add polish to our product. It is also there to advertise the product as shown by the large Liberty Revoked sign that is consistent throughout the campaign.